I had been in one area of the forest for several days, clearing it of the undead. For some reason, it was here that their concentration was growing. As if the creatures, feeling some kind of attraction, were crawling from all over the forest, prowling around a small area. I didn't know what attracted them so much, but I was pleased with the opportunity to take out my anger on the rotting bastards I had dedicated my life to fighting. I knew perfectly well that I would not be able to exterminate them all. One day my path would end. And it certainly would not be pleasant. Most likely, I would lose my vigilance and die one of the most terrible deaths in the clutches of another undead. I must admit I hoped that this would happen much sooner, but here it is. 8 years have already passed, and death has still not overtaken me. Yes, 8 years. How time flies. Only the wounds do not heal. I slapped myself on the chest, trying to relieve the nagging, excruciating pain in my heart. I had lost my meaning in life, but I didn't want to give in like that. Just give myself up to be torn apart. No, that's not my style. Before the Dark One catches up with me, I'll take away as many of these offspring as possible, so that other families can live in peace. Day is the time for rest. Tonight I was going to go hunting again, which meant I needed to rest for at least a couple of hours. I knew that there was a swamp nearby. My sensitive nose unmistakably caught the smell of mud and blooming water. The decision was made by itself. I can check it for lobests, and then take a nap in the sun while I still have the chance. A clang of metal was heard nearby, followed by a female voice. Involuntarily, the image of the savage woman who attacked me by the river a week ago popped into my memory. I've never seen such women. Fragile, gentle, submissive, that's definitely not about her. The swallow seemed unbridled, bursting with life, and the trick with the movement still did not fit into my head. The voices were repeated. This time my hearing caught rough hissing dialects, definitely belonging to lizards. And apparently there were several lizards, so leaving the horse, I hurried to the violators of the silence. What can I do? I am too greedy for women in trouble. I can never stay away. Having silently crept up to the fighters, I tried to assess the situation. Recognition came instantly. At first glance, a fragile, short girl with hair whiter than the first snow was fighting a lizard. The lizard-like creature was cutting with its tail, trying to make a sweep, but it was not so easy to deceive this upstart. She deftly jumped over the scully limb of the enemy and simultaneously parried the blows of the sword, chopping left and right. The way this savage held herself in battle with the giant was mesmerizing. Like a true Valkyrie, Swallow fearlessly threw herself at the enemy, dodging the tailed one with cat-like grace. I no longer knew whether she needed my help, or whether intervention would only distract the bandit from the enemy, so I decided to remain in cover until my help was really needed. I watched the polished movements when the devil, as she had already done once, dissolved in the air and fell on the hesitating lizard from above, cutting the massive skull in half. Voices were heard behind the trees. Reinforcements were coming, but apparently Swallow had not yet heard the approach of new opponents, so she relaxed and sat down, wiping her sword on the thick grass. There was no point in waiting any longer. Jumping out of hiding, grabbed the girl by the elbow. Listening to the pursuit, I realized that another squad was waiting for us ahead. The lizards skillfully drove us into a trap, depriving us of the opportunity to retreat. Catching the girl by the hand, he stopped her, to which the savage turned around sharply. For what? They surrounded us, trying not to miss anything, trying to count the number of lizards. They were very close. The branches crunched under their powerful legs. I was already preparing for battle, reaching for the sword, when the woman's hands wrapped around my neck. Hey, what's wrong? He growled at her in confusion, looking up. Of course, I'm not against hugs, but not at a time like this. Kochera, be so kind as to shut up, okay? And hold on tight. Before she could finish speaking, I felt a strange lightness in my body. My head was spinning, and my eyes were rapidly darkening. The voices that had been clearly heard before became muffled, as if sounding from underwater. Consciousness was slipping away, and the last thing I felt was my feet leaving the ground. What did this girl do to me?